Hi, John the Van Guy. Haven't been well lately, so been off the air. Now, all right. Here we are with Molly, and having a few problems. Here she is. There's my little alcove all set up to actually work on her. Okay. Now, what's actually happened is the car was overheating, and there was a lot of looked like oil in the coolant. Did a compression test and the compression was okay. There was no apparent bubbles in the coolant, but it was classic. This looked like the head gasket had actually gone. So I've set about replacing the head gasket, and I've done all that. And I thought what I'll do is I'll cover a little bit of the procedure and a few things I actually found which you might find useful. Okay, without more ado, I've got it all back together now. Just got it back together. Very easy to do if you haven't done one before. It's probably a good one to start. Obviously, standard procedure: getting rid of, opening all the pipes, draining all the water from the engine as well. You'll find on these there's an actual bolt just down there. Sometimes it's a tap. So you can actually drain the block by just undoing the bolt. That's very easy. This goes to the heater matrix. I tend to take that off. I have to tighten that up. Basically, it's pretty straightforward. Obviously, taking the plugs out, dropping the alternator, take so you can take the belt off. Only thing attached, little hose down here. You've got the release, this is where I did come across a few problems. This might be a little bit different on some. Maniflow have worked on this. This is the induction manifold and the exhaust manifold. They're sort of linked. There's a link gasket. I think the old gasket is down here. Right, didn't look bad actually. I might as well replace. When you actually buy the gasket kit, it's not that expensive. ESM do quite a nice kit. It's like a copper gasket. Be careful, don't you bend it, it's very easy to bend. And with all the other gaskets, thermostat is like a cork gasket. You can actually make one up, but they sell those, they're quite cheap. Now, one of the things I came across was when I was undoing everything, these nuts on here are 5/16 UNF. Now, and I found when I came, I'll tell you in a minute when I came to put it all back together, there's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can actually get to them with extensions and sockets. When I came to finish off and putting everything back together, I found there was a few nuts short, and 5/16 UNF are not the sort of nuts that you find. I couldn't find any in my kit, so I had to bought them. They're 50p each. That's pre-VAT. You end up, if you buy 6 nuts from ESM, works out with the postage and VAT probably about £7 for 6 nuts. You can get them on the internet, but you're lost without them. Now, why did I need those? Well, it was an interesting scenario. Taking the head off involves undoing a number of of the head nuts. First of all, you obviously take the rocker box thing off, rocker box cover, and you actually, when you're loosening everything, of course, you have to do it in the right order. And there's plenty on this, but I thought I'd show you can you see that? So basically, when you're tightening, you're going, that's the thermostat. 1, 2, 3, across here 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that's it. And then, but when you're loosening, you start with 9 and go in reverse. So 9, 8, 7, 6, and so on. So so that's a standard way of getting these things off. Now I found two of, when I put everything back, two of the smaller nuts which hold the rockers down, two of those, they just kept turning, spinning, which was a problem. And I thought it might have been the stud itself, but it wasn't. The nuts themselves, the actual thread had gone on the nuts, so which was an easier thing to cope with, an easier problem to sort. Now, when you're doing these, the rule of thumb seems to be for tightening. It seems to be about 40 pound-foot, is it? Yeah, for the big nuts, and for these, the rocker box 25. Some people take it up to about higher than 40. I've noticed some are taking about 43 up to about 50, but I just followed the what says it in the manual. Right, so that was that. Can I think of anything else? Oh yes, while I was at it, I've had it tuned. AC Dodds came and did a brilliant tuning on all this. So that's a new carburetor, what they call it, TF44, I think, TNF44, with the float chamber at the bottom. He spent quite a bit of time actually getting it just right, using sensors on the end of the exhaust, which are equivalent to oxygen sensors, I suppose, to actually tune it properly. Used a various number of needles to actually get the tuning just right. Yeah, very professional, and it was running beautifully. But I still had this overheating problem, so I've had to sort that since. So that was that. Okay. What else can I think of while I'm at it? Obviously this, oh yes, this is not a standard radiator on this, whoever's put this in. And they also, whoever connected up the fan, a big mistake, we found, I hadn't realised, the fan was actually blowing from the engine onto the radiator, where it actually should be pulling through the radiator, so it was going the wrong way. And as it turned out, what they'd done, when I followed the wires down, they'd reversed the wires. So instead of, it's a schoolboy error, instead of touching the blue to the blue, they touched the blue to the black, and you ended up reversing the fan. Anyway, I've turned it back and it seems to be okay, and it seems to be pulling okay. So whether the fan blades are in the right orientation, well, that's arguable, but that it is pulling air now from outside in, rather than pulling hot air from the engine out onto the radiator, which is not much good. So that probably didn't help with the overheating, to be honest. What else? Oh yeah, finally, while I'm at it, have you ever had problems because of all the muck and grime in the coolant reservoir, which sits here, and this is it. It's a pretty standard one. It was completely chocker with this brown, gooey, rusty coloured stuff, and very difficult. It wouldn't wash out. So I thought, oh heck, so I looked on the internet and I found a lot of people had obviously done all this work for me, instead of having to try various solvents and things. And I found the best way was following some chap who had simply filled the thing with bleach, washing up liquid, boiling water, and giving it a good brush. Now, for this sort of thing, you need it's quite, and leave it to soak. I left it for an hour, and it's quite handy having something like this. It's actually, the handle came off, but you can actually manoeuvre it inside. And before, where it was all brown and gunky, Now it looks relatively very good. I'm pleased with that. That works out well. While I'm at it, while I'm here, a good thing to have. This was pruned very good actually. Milwaukee ratchet spanner. But these are very good. Temu silicon bungs. It's the sort of thing when you're filling that with liquid, you can just put your bungs in the tubes. There's a little red one in there, and so you can fill it without losing all your stuff. So that's quite handy. I found that just a useful little tip. Okay, I think that's about it. Bound to be lots of things, but not a bad job actually. Didn't take too long overall. And if you're new to this sort of thing, it's a great engine and car to learn on. A pleasure, in fact. Bye now.